So as long as I could remember, I've always had this somewhat of an obsession with the notion of self-actualization, who I am and who I'm supposed to be, who I'm supposed to become as I'm firing on all cylinders and I've reached my potential. And what I've learned throughout the years is that it's not necessarily this epiphany that you have of knowing who you are so much as chopping away at who and what you are not. So this story is just one of those instances. So a little backstory. I grew up in a single parent household, and I was raised by women, my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt. So I've got that kind of viewpoint towards life, a little more warm and fuzzy. That said, I'd always wondered growing up, was I ever going to have the talk, and how does that go? You know, watching sitcoms growing up when I did in the 70s and 80s, always talk about the birds and the bees. Well, I never had that talk, but I had an older brother, 5 years my senior. And so my talk took the form of dirty magazines that he had stashed away. So let's jump to the here and now, or at least 15 years ago. I moved to Los Angeles to become an actor. I started training in Chicago, about 8 years of that, and came out here not really knowing a whole lot of people, and it was an opportunity for myself to not necessarily reinvent, but get out there and try things I'd never tried before, take that plunge. So in settling, I discovered a bunch of new things, including Craigslist of all things. And I must have responded to an ad at some point, although I don't remember when. But out of the blue one day, I'd gotten home from work and I had gotten an email about a sex party. Well, you know, sex party, what's that? And of course, my mind drifted back to the magazines and the videos I had seen growing up. And I thought, wow, that's pretty enticing. It was intoxicating. So there were a couple of photos of some of the participants, the women, of course. And I was wrestling with it because I didn't know, am I that guy? Can I do this? I responded. Thought, where's the harm in responding? And about a day or two later, I got a response saying, this is the time and place. There's a donation fee. Bring your own booze. So I thought, will I, won't I? Will I, won't I? And it's kind of my process, really not making a decision until it becomes ridiculous and you just have to. So throughout this process, I would tell myself, no, I'm not going to do it. I just don't want to get involved with something like that. And yet my mind kept drifting back towards one of the images. There's nothing pornographic about the image. It was just this woman's face. And there was something very wanton about that. And so it kept drawing me back. So the Friday comes when it's supposed to happen. I go to work, and I get out of work, and I go to the gym because I had to get myself good and ready, and I go home. And again, I'm debating it like a cat with a ball of yarn back and forth. And I thought, okay, well, it's not far. I will go get the donation money. Doesn't necessarily mean I have to go. It would be on the way, but I don't have to commit. So I went and I got the donation money. I have the money. Well, you can continue to drive for about a mile or so. You could always turn around. I just decided to go. And so I arrive at a hotel in Sherman Oaks on Ventura. And it is it's a well-known chain. But I noticed that there's a lot of construction going on, and everything is covered in tarps. So it's kind of like a warning sign for me. What is this? It seems a little unorthodox or not very welcoming. So I'm sitting outside, debating whether I'm going to do it. So I finally go in, and the hotel is undergoing a renovation, and there are only 3 floors open. So they must have gotten some kind of special rate without telling the management or the powers that be what they were going to be doing. So I went upstairs to the room, and I knock on the door, and the young guy comes, opens the door. I'm here for the party. Said, well, you know what? Nobody's really here yet. So if you want to go downstairs and hang out or whatever, come back up in about 15, 20 minutes. So I do that. And already it's kicking in. This seems off, and maybe I should just cut my losses and leave. Hadn't even paid my money. But I'm there. I decide to go to the parking structure, and I ended up talking to 2 of the guys there, just asking about what was going on at the hotel. And I think I was really trying to find something to occupy my time so as not to take that plunge. But I go back upstairs, and as I'm going through the lobby, I see a woman being escorted. Okay, well, she must be one of the women that's going to be participating. So I get upstairs, and there are a couple people waiting outside, and we start talking. I find out who they are, where they're from. Oh yeah, it's great. I've been to these before. A lot of fun. Sets my mind at ease. So we're invited to go in, and they had 2 adjoining rooms. And sit down, and eventually more men show up. There are only 2 women there. And everyone is sitting watching the Laker game. But no one's interacting. Everyone's just stone cold silent. And nobody is making any eye contact. And I thought, well, I understand it. It's really an awkward situation. But we're all here. We are at a gangbang. So, you know, the minute you walked into this room, you kind of checked your shame. So interact. Nobody's interacting. I went back downstairs, and I decided to smoke some weed, take the edge off. I come back upstairs, and again, just silence. It was BYOB. I didn't have anything, but someone had brought a 6-pack. I just took it upon myself to start drinking. Nothing too crazy, maybe two beers. And I noticed then more people show up, men. And the 2 women were in the other room. And I thought to myself, is this it?